Hi, welcome back to Lovin Sheila, the podcast, episode 11. Thank you for joining me. I have a lot to say today. Let's get right into it. I want to say, first of all, I think when I started the podcast, we started talking about emotional support and how significant it is in our lives. And I noticed for me that I am one who is not good at accepting the support or acknowledging that I need it or being vulnerable to receive it. And so that's where I am right now. I'm really just trying to make sure that as give people kind of a hard time about being not being supportive, that I'm putting myself in a position to receive it and when it comes to accept it. Because the interesting thing I've learned throughout my life is that you really never know where it's going to come from. It always comes out of the clear blue sky from the person you least expected for the most part. I've noticed this throughout my life and I just find it interesting. I had a situation earlier today where I got a text message and someone was checking on me and wanted to see how I was doing and so forth, and wanted to spend some time and just let me know that she was there for me. And my first reaction was to say, "Oh, I'm fine and everything's good and thanks for checking," you know. And then I kind of followed up with another message and said, "Okay, well, thank you. I don't do well with receiving support for whatever it might be, but thank you and I welcome it." And so I opened myself up to just receive whatever was being offered. And that's a growth step for me. And what I take from that is my second message was me being more vulnerable. And in the process of us going through life and trying to deal with things with all of our strength, because I said you never know how strong you are until you're faced with things. Our strength is being built up as folks are pouring into us. You know, just like I said before, when my friend gave me the card, "Believe in your strength," and I didn't know how much I had. I didn't think I had enough for what I was about to endure. But her card encouraged my soul, and here so much so that I'm talking about it a year later. And so today, when that happened, when she called or she texted me and just kind of told me, "I'm here for you," whatever you need, it opened my eyes to me to see that I'm not always receptive, but what I need to be and what I want to be, and what I hope all of us are, is open. Open to what I know a lot of people these days say the universe has to offer. And if that's how you want to look at it, fine, but open to where God, for me, open to where God is taking me. And interestingly, along the way, I don't really know. I don't know where our final destination is, nor do I have a map. There is no map. I'm not, and nor am I planning and strategizing. I'm really open to where God takes me and to where I land. I'm going to keep doing the things that I know to do. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep studying. I'm going to keep doing the work and trying to get better. But now I'm incorporating something else. I'm going to receive the support that comes from those places where we least expect it. And that's another thing. It opens you up to new bonds. One of my good friends and a good supporter of our family, I met her in basketball. And, there was a time when my son took a break and she stepped up and she stayed in contact with us and she checked in on us and she encouraged our soul. And I was really shocked because there was a lot of people that I was close to within that, basketball mom sorority. And I wasn't as close to her, but I was shocked that she was the one who stepped up, and she is the one who I have this familial bond with at this point. And she is the one who buys my son coats as he goes off to Chicago. not because we need it, but because she loves us and she supports us. And so the point is for all of us is just to be open to whatever comes. I mean, there's a lot of good things that are going on and people who are there for us and here to support us in whatever way we need. But if we're not open to it, we won't receive it. And so that's what I'm learning. And so that's what I want to encourage you as well, to be open to and to learn with me. And so, along with that, one of the things that I really kind of focused on in this last week was two other things: forgiveness and trust. And I've never felt that I had much of an issue with forgiveness because different things maybe that hurt me along the way somehow, and maybe it's because I always said I was a little mechanical in some things, but I was always able to, move on from it and not look at people through the eyes of the hurt that I experienced with them or through them or alongside of them, whatever the case may be. I felt like I was pretty good at operating in forgiveness. And it was good for me because what we know, forgiving is pretty much releasing someone from a debt. So instead of dealing with that person like they owe you something or they've done some injustice towards you and they need to be punished or receive the consequences, and staying right there until they get those consequences, the forgiveness is letting it go and releasing it, releasing them from it, releasing it to God, and being free. And people always say forgiveness isn't for that person, though it does help them, it frees them from guilt and condemnation or shame or whatever, but it also frees us from carrying that dirty load. I don't want to carry, after all these years of living, 53 years of living, there's a lot of things that have happened that may have caused me pain over these years, but I don't want to carry all of that with me. I mean, I'm not equipped for it. I'm not strong enough, so I need to let it go. And I release it, and it allows me to move forward with a spirit of expectation and hope that things will be better. And so I often think of unforgiveness as Pigpen in the Charlie Brown, where you're walking around and you're carrying all this dirt and so forth, and you're just not clean and you're not free. And so I encourage us all to find it within our heart, just like the Lord said, how many times shall you forgive? 70 times 7. So forgiveness is endless, and it's for us. It's for our peace, for us to move forward, for us to not be heavy laden with burdens. That's what the forgiveness gives us, and that's where I want to operate. But there's a second part of that I want to elaborate on. Well, let me back up a little bit. One thing within forgiveness, we have to acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the hurt of the situation, and understand that we have feelings about it because we're not mechanical, we're not robots, we're not the Tin Men, we have a heart. So acknowledge that we have feelings about it, and then we have to process it so we can deal with the pain. So we have to go through the process, and I think that's what a lot of us do. We don't want to go through the process. So it's easier to hold on to, but it actually is easier to release, because that death grip, it takes energy and effort, and at some point you got to let go and relax. And if you're holding on to that with that death grip, how can you relax? How can you release? How can you do it? You can't. So you have to go through the process. Deal with the pain. Acknowledge that it hurt you. Trust the process. Go forward in the process. And that's how you go forward. because now you have dealt with it. You have to deal with it to move forward. And if you don't, it's going to keep rearing its ugly head. And so that's what I don't want for me or for you. So I want us to be able to move forward. And the question is, how do we move forward? Especially when we feel someone has hurt us, mistreated us, abused us, or whatever the case may be. How do we move forward in forgiveness? Okay, well, just because we have forgiven the person doesn't necessarily, no, I'm not going to say necessarily, it does not mean that they are placed in the same regard or that they are held in the same esteem as they once were. We have forgiven them. We have released them of the debt. They no longer owe us anything. So the next part is trust. And for me, trust is huge. I operate very well with forgiveness. Where I'm challenged is trust. And so I spent some time dealing with trust. And in dealing with trust and dealing with forgiveness, as it relates to forgiveness, there is some knowledge that we gain, as we deal with whomever we had to forgive. There's knowledge that you have taken into your computer about this person or this situation. And once we move past it and we can look back at it, I hope that knowledge can now turn into some applied knowledge that we can apply moving forward. And what that is wisdom. And so when we move forward and we begin to trust people, our computers have to compute, how does this person act in these situations? How do they respond with this information? How do they handle the access that I've given them in my life? So all these things that you have computed over the years, now you're going to apply it to where they're going to now fit into your life, into how trustworthy are they? If they demonstrate repeatedly that they are going to, like for instance, I take my dog out and I know that as soon as I get out, he's going to start urinating everywhere. Now for me to behave as if he's not going to do that and just let him be free, he hasn't earned that trust. There's nothing that has demonstrated to me that he can handle being free and not urinating all over everyone's property and cars and so forth. It's just a fact. So I have to operate with that knowledge, and that's the wisdom that I've gained for having this dog for 14 years. And that's a simple example, but that's just, likewise, it can be applied to our life. It could be a metaphor. If you give someone access and they piss all over you because they have access, then that's what they do. So giving them that access may not be the best thing to do. So that's how we determine, after forgiveness, where do we go with the trust? Do we place them back in the same place? And that's what I think a lot of us think, okay, once we have been forgiven, we should be placed. But no, it's an earned place in our life. I'm learning how special I am. I'm learning how every relationship that I have is a privilege. It's a privilege to be in my life, and likewise for all of you. You would say it's a privilege for me to be in your life, just like it's a privilege for me to be able to talk to you right now, because everyone can't speak into your life and you're not listening to everyone. So it's a privilege. And so what I've learned after 53 years is everyone who's in my life, it is a privilege to be in my life. Now, to maintain access to me, that means that you have respected my boundaries and respected me, and we can maintain that privilege, and you get more and more access. Pretty much that's the trust. So for me to put you in a trust, the circle of trust, it all makes sense now. To go into the circle of trust, considering that you have not always done things that keep you there, it's a job. It's something that I need to recognize that it's a privilege, and that we need to recognize as a privilege. We need to think enough of ourselves to understand the privilege it is to have a relationship with us. And it sounds egotistical, but I think you have to know that for yourself. It's part of loving yourself. You need to think that you're the dog's bow wow and the cat's meow. That's what you need to think of yourself, because if you don't think it of yourself, then who's going to think it? And if you don't treat yourself that way, who else is going to treat you that way? Because you're not setting that expectation of that to be treated with that level of respect. So I'm just at a place where Lovin Sheila is all about self-love, self-care, boundaries, and things like that. And so I have to put myself in that highest category, because when you put yourself in that highest category, you won't settle for less. You won't take good enough. It's not good enough. I have an expectation, and I'm valuable, and I'm worth it. And if you want me to trust you, then you'll do the things that prove you to be trustworthy. And that's not coming from a place of bitterness at all. I'm just hopefully sharing what I think is the right frame of mind. Because I never would want anyone to be bitter. I'm not bitter. But I just want us to have I want us to expand our expectations and belief of what we are deserving of. All right? We should believe, and we should do the work to make ourselves deserving of these greater things. And so that's what we're leveling up. That's what we're doing here. We're leveling up and doing maybe what we didn't always do, and expecting more. That's what it's all about. Yes, so the bottom line is trust is earned. Trust is not given. You don't walk out in the street and just trust someone with your life savings. It's something that happens over time. And trust is vitally important. I think back to Maslow and his hierarchy of needs, and how safety was one of those. And I certainly believe that within that hierarchy, trust, we all want to have someone that we could trust our life savings to, our children to, our spouse with, or with our spouse. We need those things in our life. We can't just live on an island, and we can't trust anyone. We have to do everything for ourselves. That's no way to live. So trust is a part of our hierarchy of needs. And like I said, for me, it's huge. It's immense. And so what we need, this is part of what we need. And we need to recognize a person's capacity to give. When we're evaluating trust and someone's trustworthiness, evaluate their capacity to give. Are they able? Are they equipped with that? Do they understand? Because sometimes people just don't have the capacity, and it's not a bad thing on them at all. It's just, maybe the way they were raised, their level of intellect, who knows? But sometimes they don't have the capacity. And so it's not a bad reflection of them, but it's something that we need awareness of, because why put your trust in someone who just doesn't have the capacity to give? Why, ladies? Why? So consider that. And then do they exhibit care for you? Do they have empathy? Are they able to feel where you are coming from? That's another capacity for trust, or another thing to evaluate in trust. So we have to evaluate their capacity to care and empathize. And then we have to look at the track record. Have they demonstrated that they are trustworthy? Have they let you down and continue to let you down, or continue to exhibit the same behaviors? if that's the case, then maybe there's a limited amount of trust that you can give in that to that person. You got to look at the track record. The track record speaks volumes. And I know people are capable of change and do change. But again, you have to use the wisdom that you've computed along the years to make the right decision for you to trust. Because what you're doing is you're opening your heart. And I talked about being open, and we definitely want to be open. But when you trust someone, you're opening your heart. And once you open it, you are susceptible to quite a few things. And you know, I thought about this morning. My son just came home from college, and you know, everything he does kind of affects me. And I know I always heard this, but literally, people say your child is like your heart walking around like outside of you, and it is so true, you know. And so you want to protect it with everything that you have. But what I also realize is that, you know, my heart and the people that I trust, I have to protect my heart just like I protect my son, try and guard him from things that I feel are harmful for him. So the same vigilance that I have with that is the same vigilance that I should have in awarding. It's an award. Like I said, it's a privilege. So awarding my trust to someone. So that's just another thing for us to think about. And then again, back to restoring access and trust. Do we restore access to everything? Because I realize access is huge. Having access to someone, I never thought that much about it, but having access to someone is an incredible privilege. You know, when you give yourself full access, when someone has full access to you, it's phenomenal. It's a beautiful thing. So, you know, you want to make sure that before you restore access after forgiveness, that they've earned it. Because again, we don't want to just give full access and then get hurt again the same way. All right. And then that determines whether we should further invest in the relationship. If you look at all those things, evaluate all those things, then you should know if should I invest further in this relationship. But if they are not, when I put them up against those couple things, I think it was like 5 things I just said, if they're failing, then maybe you should reevaluate your investment in the relationship. So that's just something to think about as far as trust. But as I talked about trust, it took a spin for me because I always thought like trusting someone with my heart is the hugest thing. But as I got into it, I started to think about trusting myself. And so then I started to study that a little more. And I looked at, you know, being double-minded, difficulty making decisions, you know, how I balance things and having confidence in my decision making. And realistically, I've always had difficulty with decision making because, and I hate this, but I thought it was because I was a Libra, and you know, we're like balanced. And I don't even believe in that astrology. Is that astrology stuff like that? But it seemed like it had some virtue because I do balance things out, and it causes me to look for second opinions and so forth, and that is annoying because you really want to have confidence that you're doing the right thing, and you really want to like trust your instincts and not look for others for validation. You just kind of want to know. And so that's what made me think like maybe I'm not trusting myself. And so that led me to some resources. And there's a lady by the name of Lynn Christian. She does SoulSalt, which I think is a great name, SoulSalt, because we are the salt of the earth as Christians. And so we are flavor. So she's giving us flavor for our soul. And so she has a teaching, how to trust yourself, building true self-confidence. Because as I peel back the onion, as I peel back the layers, and I say, am I trusting myself? Am I trusting my gut? Am I trusting my instincts? And we peel that back a little bit, unfortunately, it comes down to self-confidence. And Now, of course, in all thy ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path, and I certainly believe that word. And then I also need to trust that God has given me and equipped me and provided me with everything I need to make good, sound decisions. And so that's where I thought, okay, this is Lovin Sheila. At the end of the day, like I told you so many times before, it all comes back to us. I told us we are the foundation of our relationships. We are. And if we can't be with ourselves, then we're no earthly good to anyone else. These are the things that I believe. And so in doing that, I'm going back to me, because I'm talking about how I can trust other people. How can I trust other people if I'm not trusting myself? And why don't I trust myself? I feel like a confident person, and I think I am, but I guess in everything there are levels to it, okay? And so what I'm saying is I want to level up in my self-confidence. And so I took a look at Lynn Christian's teaching, and there were 12 steps. And we may have to come back to this, because I'm feeling way down in my soul another iteration of Who Are You, part 2, and this might be a part of that. But here's what I'm thinking. The first step, self-compassion, and that is huge. I mentioned previously how I had folks tell me, you're easy on this person or whatever, but you're really hard on yourself. You don't give yourself any breaks, and you're looking to, you have to do this, and you want to do it like this, and you have to be perfect, and so on and so forth. And so for me, is she is telling us to be a better friend to ourselves. So I wouldn't give my friend no slack if they didn't do whatever it was they did. Oh, you can do it tomorrow, don't worry, no big deal, nobody died. That would be my encouragement to them. And so I need to be that friend to me. Like, nobody died, what's the worst that can happen? All those things, and be a better friend and have compassion. You needed a break. Take a break. You've been running nonstop. You got a lot going on. Whatever it is, but have compassion. And know, and while you're having compassion and while you're taking a break or whatever it is, know that it's okay. Life is going to go on. It's not going to stop. There's not going to be a catastrophe, because you did what you needed to do for you. You took a break. You had compassion for yourself. So I encourage everyone to have compassion for others, but I'm telling you, take it in or two and have compassion for yourself. It's important. That's important. And so number 2 was, the first one is give yourself permission. It's okay. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to do something for you every day. We have permission. We have permission to go to work, to cook dinner, to do all those things that are necessary. But give yourself permission to take time and smell the flowers, to sit and meditate, to not be productive, to veg out, to watch reality TV all day, or to watch Judy Justice all day. Give yourself permission, okay? Again, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. Calm yourself. Give yourself what you need, okay? Love yourself and understand that you are the boss of you. And so it's okay. You have permission. And then, this is what I have worked the most on lately, I think. One of the two things. Embrace vulnerability. Loving yourself is embracing and trusting yourself, and building self-confidence is embracing your vulnerability. You are not Superman, Superwoman. You are not invincible. There are things that penetrate. There are things that hurt. There are things that can possibly knock you down. There are things that you're not good at. And it's okay. Embrace your vulnerability. And like I told my friend earlier today, I'm not good at accepting emotional support. I told her, it's true, I'm telling you, I'm not good. I haven't been great at sharing my weaknesses or embracing my weaknesses or those ugly things about me that I just don't self, what is it, people pleasing or something. Bringing that out, that's embracing vulnerability. Those are not things that I want to be named among me. So I'm embracing my vulnerability. That's what I'm doing, and do that because it's going to build self-confidence once you, because no one, what can anyone say about you? You know it. You've embraced it. It's kind of like Eminem in that 8 Mile movie when, he told his own story, and that's what I value. I'll tell my own story because I'm not ashamed, and that makes me more confident in who I am. So embrace your vulnerability. Don't let folks use it against you. Embrace it, tell your story, and live your life. That was number 3. Number 4 was listen to your inner thoughts. And we talked about this on our podcast here when I said, be okay being alone with yourself. For me, when I'm hiking, I'm alone with myself. I'm alone with my thoughts. Be okay to be alone with yourself and hear your thoughts and hear what you're thinking. And what does God want to share with you? How does he want to enlighten you? Stop the noise and be alone with yourself and receive it. And don't be afraid of it. It's going to give you direction and guidance, strength, encouragement, validation, affirmation. All those things can come from being alone with yourself. So embrace it. And ultimately, we're trying to trust ourselves and have better self-confidence. So take the steps. And then be authentic. Authentically you. And that's when all the curtains come down and the facade or the, being up, whatever it is, be you. And whatever that is. And that's why I said, who are you? There's like so many people tell you who you are and what you should be or whatever, but know who you are and be authentically you, whatever that might be. I'm learning that deep in my soul. I'm more of a free spirit. And, who would know that? It's not like you kind of think of people as like a flower child, those free spirits. And you can be more conservative or whatever, yet in your soul, you're a free spirit. You just want to kind of fly by the seat of your pants, like not have structure. When I go to Disneyland or an amusement park, the last thing I want to do is look at the map and say, oh, this is there and this is there. I want to walk. And whatever I run into that interests me, I want to go there and ride it or visit it. I just want to be free. I don't want to have structure. I remember our job used to have all these team building activities. They drove me crazy. We called it organized fun because they just put everything together and you had to make sandcastles and do all these things, which was not fun to me because I want to go to the beach. I want to go to the beach, sit back and have a good time and just let whatever happens happen and talk to whomever I want to talk to. Do me. And so I realized that's what I want to do. Do me. I want to be authentically me, whatever that is. And it could be fun. It could be laid back. It could be conservative. It could be outgoing. But I just want to be me. But these are the things part of the things that we need to embrace. There's some noise. I'm just waiting for that noise. So just be authentically you, whomever that might be, because it's valuable and it's a place. If you're trying to be somebody else, how can you be confident in yourself? Because you're trying to be somebody else. So these are just, like I said, a couple things, 6 of the 12 things, the steps to trusting yourself and building true self-confidence, because we can trust others and we want to trust others and we want to forgive others, but we want to trust ourselves and be confident in ourselves, because like I'm going to say it again, it all starts with us. And Lovin Sheila, the podcast, is about loving Sheila, but it transfers into loving you and doing all the different things that comprise you and help you to love yourself and focus on yourself better. So this is my hope that you gain something, that you walk out of here empowered, strengthened, encouraged, ready to fight the next battle, ready to overcome whatever is coming your way, and that you have the tools and the resources to do just that, knowing that you have friends that are there for you to support you, that there is information available, and that there are support groups. And I actually was thinking of joining a support group myself, just because I do all this boundaries work, and I'm like, okay, let's see what other people are going through. Why not? I mean, how long can it take? So just a thought, which is totally out of my comfort zone. I never do this kind of thing, but I'm living a new life, I guess, just an empowered life, a thoughtful life, a deliberate life, an intentional life, a Lovin Sheila life. And it's time to be open to what God has for me, or like I said, what some of you call what the universe has. Like Erica Badu said, universe, do your job. Well, God is working in me and revealing and fleshing out quite a few things, and bringing in and taking away. And I'm here for it. I'm here for the process. So hopefully during the process, I'm getting this information, because I have to be equipped. Otherwise, how could I stand up? But having this information, understanding myself, and starting with me is making all the difference in the world. And so I hope that you will go to some of these references and pull it up, do the work along with me, give me your feedback. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and even subscribe to Lovin Sheila, the podcast. We want to hear from you. We want to engage with you. Don't forget, go to lonewolfbodywork.com and get your Lovin Me tank or tee. Use the promo code of podcast or Lovin Sheila, and you'll get the shirt for just $10 plus shipping and handling. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself, trust yourself, and love yourself.